live.
Hello.
Hopefully, people can hear us. People can hear you. Yeah, I believe we can. I believe all the sound is working. Don't know why I'm so. But let's continue. Welcome to the PDF Club. I'm SCV, where we talk a lot about tabletop role playing games on this channel, mostly Pathfinder. But we also are gonna try to read other things and expand our horizons and learn different game systems. Be sure to keep an eye on the channel, especially this week, because we're playing two campaigns this week. Thursday, we're playing the Abomination Vaults. And on Friday, we're continuing our Strength 1000 campaign. Where thank you for subscribing. I don't know why the fart didn't come out. Um, where is my farting snail? Um, but that's neither here nor there. Um, what else was I gonna
Strength of
say?
thousands.
Strength of
Strength of
thousands.
thousands.
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. Strength of thousands. And then next week we're hoping to read Phase Anatomy, and we'll do a couple of like one shots on that. And then maybe we'll have like another campaign. I'm thinking about cooking up another one. Short little short little six-parter or something. Oh no, and I know you two are cooking up something. There's just gonna be a lot of content coming out. Let's just say that. Henny. But yeah, that this is PDF Club. We're gonna go over a PDF. This one's gonna be short, sweet, and to the point, maybe. We're talking about the War of the Immortals class playtest. And to
2
start
later.
2 hours later. I don't like this, but I love it. And I'm gonna play it still, but I don't like it. But first, let's introduce ourselves with a quick tell us what your experience is with tabletop role playing games. Topher, you go first.
Hi, I'm Topher, Wildcat Topher. My experience with tabletop games is I've played more than one, but less than 100. Really? No. No.
That's
Experience-wise,
honest.
I've been playing for probably the last, off and on, for probably the last like 10, 15 years. Um, Mostly D&D, and Pathfinder First Edition, and then took a break, and then I've gotten back into Pathfinder Second Edition and Fifth Edition for D&D.
Sick.
Yeah.
You go next.
I guess that's me. I'm Captain Sham. I've been playing tabletop role playing games since 2010 when Brian and I were babies, and he lived next to me in my dorm in college and introduced me to Dungeons and Dragons. And little babies. So I played D&D first for a long time, and then kind of played off and on. Um, then really into Pathfinder 2E. I really love Kids on Bikes. I loved that one thing we did with Victor with Humblewood. That was really fun. So I've dipped toes, but mostly Pathfinder 2E.
I forgot one that I used to play that's actually really kind of fun too. Savage Worlds.
I've heard about that. I've
That
been
one was
Savage
actually a really
Worlds
fun one as well.
curious. The DM like a one shot.
I might still have some of the PDFs from it somewhere.
Maybe we'll
on
do a
some
PDF club on
some
Savage
on
Worlds.
some portable hard drive. I think I still have them.
But we're maybe we'll share them, but we'll probably all buy them individually.
Yes.
We'll all buy them ourselves. I'm not gonna share.
Yes.
Yes.
But anyway, let's talk about the latest PDF that was released by Paizo that we didn't have to pirate and we could all get ourselves, which is what we usually do, right?
Exactly. We always buy content.
Support the publisher.
Yes. Anyway, it's the War of the Immortals, which is going to be a new expansion pack coming out in the winter of 2024. So
It's too far away.
It's too far away, but I think they got a lot of things to iron out here, honestly. So what do we feel top of mind of the War of the Immortals playtest?
I want it now.
You want it now, okay? Okay.
Top of mind. I want it now. I also want some of the other ones that we're not going to talk about right now.
What do you mean the other
Okay.
ones?
Howl of the Wild.
Ooh, I want Howl of the Wild so
Yes.
bad.
And so we'll have to do a PDF club on that one. It
We're
actually comes
obviously
out sometime
going to
next
do a
year.
PDF club on Howl of the Wild because I just want to be a little kitty cat, and not even a cat folk, but just a cat.
A baby
See, I
kitty.
definitely want to be a centaur.
Yeah, that checks out. That
Yeah.
checks out for you. Yeah.
Yes. But for War of the Immortals.
Yes, for War of the
War of the
Immortals.
For the War of the
yes.
Immortals, I liked. Well, okay. So like the first quick pass through, I was kind of like half and half, kind of like, I don't know how I feel about this, and then like, okay, that's kind of cool, and then I actually like read it, and I'm like, okay, no, I like this. These are nice.
Sam, thoughts?
First pass, I was really into the Exemplar until I thought more about it. I like the Animist better. I'm more excited by that
I like
one.
the Exemplar better. This
So
will be good.
I have feelings about the Exemplar.
I have feelings about Exemplar too. I have feelings about the
And
Exemplar too.
If we're gonna get into it, I'll get into it. But this comes back to some toxic playing experiences that I had a while back. That like, you know what kind of person's gonna choose the Exemplar, and they're probably not much fun to play with. Like you know that person who's like, sorry, Topher. I'm not trying to assault your character here. No, there's that type that's like, I have to be the main character. I'm the chosen one. This has to be about me. I think we've all played with somebody like that before, and this class is built specifically for that person. And it's like, there's a way to play that person, still have it be enjoyable, but it's usually like that person wants to make the story all about them. And how do you not, if you're a person who is stumbled into godhood, how do you not build the plot around that? I just feel like from a role-playing aspect and a DM, like as a DM, I might be like, you're not allowed to do that in this campaign.
Yeah.
I agree. Yes. It is very, because even when I was reading that, I was like, ooh, that is main character energy.
It's so cool, but like,
I feel like it would, to like, at least the way that it's presented now, like in this playtest, I feel like it would do really well if all the characters were exemplars of different types. So like everyone's kind of
that's
a
what
main
I would
character
do.
energy, or
so that was the like when I was reading through it and I was trying to think of, okay, what's the context of this would be really cool. Like if you were to homebrew a campaign that was like you got all these people that have like stumbled in to godhood, and it's almost like a new pantheon, that could be really cool.
Ooh.
But like, I'm sure there's a way to do it, but like, so I was in this campaign. It was the second campaign I ever played in. And it was our second campaign, so we're like, oh yeah, we're all crazy badasses, even though we're like level 1 and can't do anything. And we all had like chosen one origins, and there was this one guy we were playing with, and he was so upset with all of us, and he's like, well, I got my character done first, so you all need to change all your characters because we can't all be the chosen one. I was like, okay, but first of all, isn't it kind of fun if we're all the chosen one?
Yeah, that's fun.
But yeah, it was like really, he was just like really butthurt for the longest time, and you just get really bitchy anytime we talked about our characters, and it was not good. Brian, I want to hear what you think because I can see that you're stewing.
I'm stewing, guys. I also don't really like the Exemplar because we'll get into this more. I guess like baseline, I feel like that idea, that concept of a chosen one and stuff like that, that could literally be any class. I'm looking at like how the mechanics or gameplay of a specific class really like, is it different enough? Can it be like a subclass? I feel like this is just a fighter with relics. And I think this could have just been a fighter with relics. Or a champion. I really don't think it's that different. Whereas the Animist, and we can like hop into that, this has like a transition, has enough going for it to really separate it from like the witch or like a cleric that I'm excited for it.
Kind of with that though, like last thing I would say, like mechanically, I liked the Exemplar. But yes, I agree. Lore-wise, it was a little like this will not play well with others.
Well, let's
Yeah,
just
I
go
don't
into
have
the
the same-
Exemplar. Let's just go into the Exemplar since
Yeah.
we've got it top of mind. So, so what is the Exemplar? How would you guys describe the Exemplar? I mean,
So
You
high
had
level, it's just your normal bro who just stumbles into some godlike blessed power, it sounds like, and you just kind of have to figure out how to navigate that and be like a mythical heroic figure, which exists in the Pathfinder 2e lore already with Kate and Kalian. So I kind of like that there's a precedent for that, and you can just be kind of an unwilling god character. That's kind of what it is. From a narrative standpoint, from a mechanic standpoint.
from a narrative standpoint, cool. Yeah. Do you agree, Topher?
Yeah. I mean, it definitely was. I mean, the first thing I kind of thought of, taking from like other references was, oh, I forget his name, but our favorite dude from Moana.
Oh yeah, this is obviously
Maui?
Oh, look who decided to show up.
Yeah. Sorry,
Hey.
I'm a scheduling mess today.
It's all good.
Messy.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, like it just kind of like had those vibes as this kind of like, yes, this like demigod that's kind of just like here to do work. I mean, it was also very like Hercules based too. Like, I mean, there's a lot of real world mythology behind this of these kind of like larger than life mythic figures. And
Yeah.
I mean, there were definitely some things mechanically that I really liked that they kind of leaned into that, like with some of their resistances that like you get to choose like one and like you're fine with that, but then there's others that like you have vulnerabilities to, and I'm like, okay, that's actually kind of cool. But
Can it be part of different class? That's what it was.
You had the same problem with
Thaumaturge. I sure did. And I'm glad that you brought it up. I'm so glad you brought it up because I still have the same problem with Thaumaturge. Because the Thaumaturge is just a ranger with an item. And why can't that item be available to everybody? Like all of these items could have been relics that you hand out to any class. There's no really like feats or abilities that I think couldn't just be a relic or couldn't just be added to a different class. And the whole concept is like that could just, the whole concept of stumbling into godhood, like that's a great idea, but I feel like that's already a background and the mechanics of it aren't interesting enough to me to make it cool. And I wish
it sounds like I mean, the whole divine spark kind of just sounds like a divine boon in general.
Yes, we already have those. We already have those. I like the idea of having like a passive that you activate and then sparking that. I think that's kind of cool. But like, I don't know, for some reason to have it like attached to items really, I don't know, it grinds my gears. And if we're gonna have like an item-based class, like I wish we would go with like kind of expanding on the magical items that we already have. Like if you have this kind of item, you can gain this benefit from it, and you start off the game with 3 magical items that are already available, but you can just juice them further, or all your feats are about like juicing items further. But this is just, I don't know.
one thing that I did like, I liked and I also didn't like, it kind of goes back to the like story, the like making it too much about a singular character.
Yeah.
Was the like their epithet features,
Yes.
where it was like you are building your renown and your story written into your like a class feature, and I'm like, why? Like, again, this is just screaming too much. I'm main character. I mean, I'm sure that there are going to be DMs out there that are going to be able to incorporate it really well as just like, you are having your own story alongside your other friends' stories as well, and hopefully, like, they're helping you build your narrative while you're helping them build theirs. But it was just very odd to just kind of have a class feature be rooted in deeds.
In the name.
Yes, and like it enhances your names. Yeah.
How do we feel about the epithets, everyone else? Because I was like, cool, but if you're just picking a la carte from like, I know that the final release will have more options, but having these epithets really kind of just not like, it doesn't feel special,
You know what this is? This is for the bros, the ones who are trying to play. They want to do something really cool, and they can't write a narrative for themselves, so they have to play this character because it's all they got.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, because I mean, everything's just here for you. You don't have to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got main character energy anyway, so just ride that wave, my guy.
I don't know. I feel like you can have good players like play this. Like,
Oh yeah.
if
for
they're
sure.
in the sense that if they are cooperative, like going at the whole working with your DM and being like, I'm doing this like Hercules, and so kind of in a demigod fashion, I'm gonna have to go through trials and tribulations to kind of increase my renown, and so the DM will work with you, and increasing, like putting your character through trials, with your team, I guess. But I mean, that's a cooperative player who's working with the DM on the side.
But my whole problem isn't that already Pathfinder? Isn't that already the game? Like, if you have
For
a good
sure.
DM, you're already doing all the stuff. It's just hard bait. So it's like, it just bothers me when classes are like this.
One thing that I did think was really cool about the Exemplar was their kind of them getting their own, like, basically like divine domain.
Speak more on that.
Okay, so there's once you like get up to a certain, well, I think it's both a feat. I think it's an ancestry feat, but I think it's also something with one of their epithets, where you're granted, you begin to claim dominion over a domain, like fire or time or whatever, and you actually start to be able to influence those elements. That I thought was actually kind of cool, because it is showing a little bit more in a mechanical sense of your divine spark is growing stronger, and you're able to do things that normally only quote unquote gods could do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I'll give you that.
No, I'm gonna side with Sam, and this class is all bro, and you're giving too much power to the bros then, and it's gonna ruin your game.
On a devil's advocate side, it would be really cool. And again, you'd have to be careful because you want to make sure all of the players get a rewarding character arc and role-playing experience out of it. But like, it would be really cool if you have an adventuring party and one of them's a demigod and slowly you accidentally become a cult. Or
Oh, that would be fun.
like inadvertently you're acolytes to your buddy and they get like this cult following after all their heroic deeds and it becomes like a problem. Like, I think you can build a story around that could be really fun, but like, it would just be like extra work just to make sure that things are good. I mean, if you have good players, like I think our group would be fine. Like, I think
I would honestly assign the shyest person this class.
Like Sarah's gonna be an exemplar.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this would be good for shy people.
Yeah.
That would be super fun. If you're like having a bunch of people who really want to play a good campaign, and then you're like, nah, but all these people keep doing things under your name, like really shitty things. What are you gonna do about
I know,
it?
burning down
Mm.
villages in your name and things like that.
That'd be so good,
Like,
actually.
The other like way this class could be really like maybe like fun to play is if you have a player that maybe can only play like sporadically. They can play an exemplar. When they come in, they like, oh, they help out, they do all these crazy things, and then they go off and continue on
they
doing other
Gandalf
stuff.
it.
Yeah, they disappear. They come in clutch for the party, and then it's like, okay, well, I gotta go. I was just passing through, as a way to allow a player that maybe can only play like once a month or
Mhm.
something to still feel like they're having an impact into the party.
That's funny.
But are these really like godlike things that you're doing? Because it just seems like you're juicing an item to have like a just normal. Well,
The items
Narratively.
for
Narrative-
sure, but I feel like the
Yeah,
godlike
it's
things are
narrative-y.
more in their like domain influence and the fact that like at a certain level like they can't be killed, like they can't be brought down to 0 hit points.
But I feel like other classes have that too. Like the monk has stuff like that. Oracles. We have an oracle. We literally have an oracle cursed by gods, and you're constantly balancing the curse. You're chosen by a god. A champion.
True.
You're championing the god, and you rise up to deific level. How can I forget the cleric? And I feel like this
But
is just
again,
like
I
divine
think-
thaumaturg.
But I think part of the thing that's both, at least that they're trying to differentiate, is all 3 of those classes are getting their power from a deity. You are getting your power from your own divine spark.
Like a sorcerer.
Like a
Like it's
demigod.
basically, yeah, like a divine sorcerer, essentially, yeah.
Which is already a thing.
It's something, but it's got a
the
very
sorcerers
different
aren't
flavor.
frontline fighters like these guys are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a way of
Sorcerer
getting
champion.
it's a way of getting the same kind of narrative oomph, but being able to play a different kind of character.
Yeah. And I feel like, you're the one that keeps touting like Pathfinder being like, well, there's just so many different ways that you can kind of
Sometimes-
diversify.
There's something for everybody.
Yeah,
This thing is already there. That's just the thing. Like
Well,
I love
it
having
is, but
new
it's always
options.
just like different flavors, which is what you pushed for me to be like, oh yeah, you can do it this way.
But this
you can
flavor, this is like having 5 different vanillas to choose from.
Okay, so it just sounds like you just hate divine people. You just hate
No.
those that kind of work in the divine realm.
No, and you know that's not true. You take that back.
I definitely do agree that there are ways to make this character, but a lot of that is, I feel like, also is very contingent upon like if the DM wants to grant relics and boons and things like that. Which it's not a you pointing out, it's in a general sense.
but
Some DMs may just be like, I don't want to get into the whole like relic thing for all the party members, and
but isn't that the
same?
same?
I forget to do that. Like that's a real thing.
But isn't that the same thing with earning your name and the epithets?
Mhm.
We don't need
But
this.
we just don't have the same what you're saying isn't wrong. I just don't think we have the same problem with it.
Oh yeah, I'm just you know what? You're right. I have these problems, and I just want to voice these problems, but I shouldn't expect that everyone else have these problems, and that is why we have PDF Club to discuss it. But how many smiles would you give the exemplar? I'm gonna give it.
Is that a 5?
Yes, I'm gonna give it 2
Okay.
smiles out of 5. I'm not into it. Pass. Who's going next? How many smiles?
I do 2.5. It's not terrible. Like I'm not giving it a 1, but like there are challenges that are gonna come with this creatively and collaboratively that I'm like, is it even worth trying to make it work? That's because that's how I build my characters. It's all I start with story first, and then I figure everything else out later.
Mhm.
So for me, room for improvement. Let's put it that way.
Same, but I'm gonna say three smiles. Still a lot of room for improvement there, but there is a lot of like a lot of the bones and like even some of the like little bits of extra, like I don't know, like some extra stuff of it I really enjoy, and I kind of was like, this could be really cool, but I also still feel like parts of the class, even maybe a little bit of the narrative of it, maybe needs to be tweaked to not make it so main character energy.
BB?
I think we spoke mostly from like the how to role play this character aspect, and not really like how it actually works mechanically and like combat encounters as well.
Yeah.
You know, but you know that's what a playtest is for us to try it out.
But what do you think?
So,
What do you think
so
mechanically?
I'm
then?
giving it.
What do you think mechanically then?
I don't know. I am not good at just reading it and understanding the mechanics. I'll have to play it, which is what a playtest is for.
Yeah.
So I will give it a 2, but not for like the same reasons as it's meh. It's mid for me. It's more of like I want to. I will save some points and give it to it if we can kind of introduce it. Like, let's do what Catton said and just have this person just be let's get a player to kind of come in with his character in a one shot real quick on like Strength for Thousands or Abomination votes. You need to get Ashley in, so you're like, Ashley, just try to get into this campaign here, play this.
I'm not gonna force her to be an
character for it.
exemplar.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so exemplar, I think we all agree.
Mechanically, I think it has a lot of nice, neat, like a lot of niche abilities that like it can kind of shine in.
I'm just not sold on the whole like illuminating an object, and then I wish there was a more interesting way of like, oh,
I
I'm
don't know,
illuminating the object, cashing it in now.
Some of
for
that
the
may just
icon
come
sparks
with the
or
players,
whatever.
and like adding their own flavor to it, to like how they want to describe or like it's being utilized, maybe.
No, I mean more just like the mechanics of it, like not even like the roleplay aspect. I'm more just like, okay, so you're just upping a passive and then you're canceling the passive for like a good bonus. I mean, that's kind of interesting, but I also don't see it like, the touch points are the guy from Moana, what's his name again? Maui and Hercules. Hercules, they never had to do that. So I just don't understand how the mechanics really fit in with the fantasy.
No, I think when they're trying to give this character Nahoa,
and I like him,
and pulling from the oceanic like Moana kind of vibe with the tattoos, like. I don't know. I guess you don't even have to do an icon specifically as an item or a piece of clothing. You could be like, you can flavor it and be like, yeah, my tattoos are my icon. And the same way that Maui's was like, each tattoo told a different story about his feats.
But he had to have his sickle with him, which was his icon.
Oh, that's true. I forgot.
And when he didn't have it, he wasn't able to access that. Same with Hercules. He had his cloak from the Nemean lion that allowed him to shrug off damage. He had his club that allowed him to take on Cerberus and the Cyclops.
How about this? This is how they should do the exemplar. This is how they should do. With the tag system, the Pathfinder tag system, which has tags on every single piece of equipment, every single spell. What if, instead of just having these icons, you get the magical items like I'm talking about, but your feats and your class abilities are, if you have an item with this tag, you can activate it to also get this ability.
That's just more. That's even more items.
You have all the items in the world, but you're
It's
dealing with the category.
Pre-existing, yeah. It's all the pre-existing items that they have now. You're adding an icon tag to it.
You're adding, like, being able to utilize that item stronger due to your own ability.
But
That's
isn't
what
that
I would
hard-
want from an item.
Isn't
yes.
that what the icon ability is? So you just take any weapon, and then when you have it in your hand,
It's your icon.
But I think it would be neat if it was assigned to, like,
so
tags.
Isn't that just a warlock then? You're just making any item.
No,
your
like,
cast
if
weapon.
your icon, if your item has, like, I don't know, the
That's a thaumaturge.
No,
You're
it's
describing
not.
it as a
No, it's
thaumaturge.
not
It
at all.
is.
No, because that's the
so are you
specific
saying, like, if
item
your
in the
item
No,
has-
class.
it's
that-
any item can be an implement. Any item can be an implement, and I just decide what my implement is. That's
No,
you're
you're not
describing
getting
a
it.
thaumaturge
You're
now.
not
I
getting
think
it.
I think. So are you saying something like if the weapon has like reach or backstrike or like tags like that, versatile?
Yes, but
or-
even maybe, like, more broad tags, like
like,
if your
sword,
weapon
axe,
is in the
spear.
brawling group, yeah, then you gain another arm.
Doesn't that already exist with like the swashbuckler and some other
No.
classes where like you have if you have like a finesse weapon, you have some feats that make that more deadly.
But this would be more with magic items.
The only thing I see with it, it's not a bad idea. I'm just afraid that it would end up making it really complicated considering how many different groups of weapons there are, which might be really hard for a player and a DM to just constantly be swapping these out all the time.
And you'd have to give low level characters access to higher level weapons, which is really imbalanced too. Like, because magic items are usually higher level.
They have magic items at, like, 0 and 1st level.
Don't do anything cool though.
Yeah, but that's why you juice them, and then you get more, and then you could juice those as you get more. You know what? I'm just on a different plane. Maybe this isn't for the Exemplar, and maybe this is for an item juicer class. You know, sound out in the comments if you think I'm just a genius. But I don't. I'm glad you guys like it.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. I killed the vibe. I'm sorry.
No.
I just have a very specific want. And this is the same thing as the thaumaturge video all over again. Well, let's go over to the Animist now, unless anyone has anything else to say about the Exemplar.
Yeah, go.
Okay. How do we feel about the Animist? How do we feel? How do we feel about? How do we feel?
Like on the first read through, the kind of first skim through, I wouldn't even say read through, the very first skim through, I was kind of on the fence because I honestly kind of looked at this, I'm like, it feels just kind of like a very like almost like they're trying to blend like the feeling, like the feel of a thaumaturge with like the magic of a druid. And I was like, is there really anything that's going to differentiate this? Spoiler alert, yes. That's why I said when I actually did the read through, I was like, okay, no, I see where this is its very own like class, and it's actually kind of cool. But I also feel like it's so, it feels like it's so niche in a lot of its abilities that I don't know how well it would translate to all like campaigns and all styles of like play.
I find it really interesting. Like we don't have. I think it's needed. We don't really have a good I talk to dead people class in Pathfinder. Like you can be a sorcerer and you can dabble in like necromancy spells if that's your flavor, if that's how you want to do it, if you have an occult spell list. But like, and you can do that with, you know, witch and some other things too. But like, there's nothing that's specific. I see dead people. So I like that. I really want to play a Duskwalker Animist because that just sounds spoopy and I like it.
Yeah.
No, I don't take a lot of the same kind of issues with this as I do with the Exemplar.
Yeah, this one seemed a lot more like well thought through. I feel like also the lore and the story of them, it felt just so much more. I don't want to say cohesive, but so much more just like, yes, I can see how a person can play this and how they can be incorporated into a party.
Yeah. And when I first was reading about the Animus, I was like, oh, I got on my little soapbox. I was just like, isn't this just an oracle? Like, don't we already? We don't just need classes just to have classes. And then I started reading more, and I really liked as you guys mentioned, like the aspects of like communicating with spirits and switching between like a host spirit, which I'm very intrigued to see how that is made easy and like manageable, because that seemed complicated to me. So to describe it, an animist, you have your base like spell list, which is a divine spell list, which is interesting to begin with, because I wouldn't have clocked this as a divine spellcaster that uses wisdom as their proficiency or key attribute. But you also have, and I can show what the spells per day list look like. You also, your spells are bisected or dissected, dissected, whatever.
Bisected.
They're bisected between ones that you cast that are primal spells that you yourself cast, and spells that your host spirit, or I don't know what the specific name for it was, your host spirit or your apparition grants you. And your apparition can change on a day-to-day basis, making you one of like the most versatile classes, maybe even more versatile than a wizard, because you're grabbing these spells from different spell lists and they all have different like vibes to them. Know how I love
Didn't
a
I read
vibe.
can you refocus to change your apparition too? So
Mhm.
if you picked somebody in your daily preparations that doesn't necessarily fit the situation you found yourself in, you can just refocus.
And then
Which seems a little OP, but like I like, you know me, I like that.
yeah, and you swap
I like to
between
cheat. Like
two. Yeah, like
You
you.
can eventually you can swap between 4.
mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it does feel like the Oracle ancestor that I'm playing, but I think a lot more range and that versatility of being able to pick what you're doing. Whereas I'm having to roll and like adjusting every round, you know?
Yeah, and you don't have control over it, and it's more of a bonus thing. I kind of like it's kind of a fusion of the Oracle school of thought with a little bit of summoner flavor on there, and then but it's also spooky ghosts, which I like.
And a lot more powerful. I think there's a lot more range of spells in here. Like, so I don't know. I really enjoy playing the Oracle. Or I still enjoy playing the Oracle. It's really fun, but like I am kind of restricted and wish I could do more. And this is pretty much like, here's a class that you can do more with.
This is Victory Bell the class, honestly. When I
Yeah.
read this, I'm like, oh, you're love this.
What I really also thought, kind of going along with that, which I feel like it'd be really, like, I found it really not odd, but like just kind of like, I wonder how this is going to play out. I mean, and luckily I don't think it's that overpowered either. With like every time they like take on, not take on, like let an apparition more like come to the forefront for them. They gain those lore skills. I mean, it's just for the time, and then the change up of the focus spells. Like it was, I definitely see that it's a very, like you were saying, a very not diverse, very versatile, and very kind of can fill in a lot of holes in your spellcasting repertoire. Which I will say, I think they did a good job balancing it in that sense of kind of saying, but like spell wise, you can't cast a ton.
Yeah, you really can't. Also, you can burst. I don't know what the exact terminology they use, but you can like kind of with the exemplar, you can burst your spirit that you have to get an extra effect, and then you swap to the other one and you lose that spirit, so you're able to just like cash in. And I think that
Kind
is
of like a Hail
way
Mary kind of thing.
yeah, I think that's way more thematic for the Animist than it was for the Exemplar. A, B, the it's just cool and it really sets it apart. Like, okay, I have this really more powerful ability, but I would have to give away so much of my power to use it, and it makes for interesting options. And I think this versatility that we have, I think Topher, you were mentioning how a lot of the feat selections were very niche. I think that's how they can get away with it being so niche and very specific, is because the base class is just so versatile that we can have things like, if you're taken over by an evil spirit, your apparition takes over instead, and you don't have to worry about being controlled. And I'm like, yes, that's so cool. Like that shit. Oh, I loved it.
No, I really did like it. I always just me as kind of this is me kind of thinking as more as a player. Like I always sometimes worry sometimes that like my class selection maybe won't be able to be as utilized. And like at first it kind of feels like the Animist might kind of get into that just because it's very I speak to dead people kind of thing. And like I almost feel like you might think that like, oh, we need to be in like an undead or a spirit heavy campaign as compared to like I don't know, like an elemental focused one, or one that's more about like city intrigue. But like then more I got reading and I was like, no, this kind of with the lore skills and kind of just their ability to just kind of like just glean information from their things. I was like, maybe it wouldn't be as bad.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good feats in here about just controlling the battlefield that it's really handy. So it's not just like information gathering, or which is what like I use my shit for right now, because I'm like, how like I have ghostwriting, cool. Like
Yeah.
It doesn't really help me a lot, but like there's a second level feat in here that you can just draw enemies into the range of your spells. How fucking cool is that?
I read that and I was like, that's so cool.
Level
That's
2.
cool. From 30 feet away as well. Like that's wild.
Because that's always a spellcaster thing. You're like, oh shit, they're just out of range. Okay. Because it's not like a crossbow or bow. You're like, oh, I'll just take like a -2 or a -5 or whatever. It's just like, no, I can't reach them.
Yeah, I think you can get like reach spell, but I think you get that at like level 4.
Yeah.
To add range to your spells, and then you can do widen spells for like areas, but then you can take that at like level 7 or something. I can't remember what you can get both.
No, this class, especially with that like ability, because it's not like it moves them only for them and then move them back. No, they just get moved. So now suddenly it's like, okay, the rest of our casters now can all hit this person too.
Yeah, if you're really creative, you could draw them into melee range for somebody else. Like there's ways that you can use this to be really annoying.
Oh yeah. It is very much, which I like, it is very much like this battlefield controller, which there aren't a lot of classes that really excel at battlefield control outside of like area effect spells, I feel like.
Depends how you build.
True, but I mean, like that one, like you literally can just pull enemies into.
That's insane. Yeah,
like that's a strong battlefield control.
Level 2.
Level 2,
yeah.
That's where this is blowing my mind. Fucking level 2. Like what else would you take, and why would you take it at level 2?
I mean, now mind you, at least like you can only use it once per 10 minutes. So really every once per battle to couple battles.
And I think you have to have your apparition up too.
Yeah.
But you're also fucking up with their action economy too, because if they want to move out of range, now they got to burn a movement that they probably weren't going to use. So it's
It's-
still fucky. Like,
And later on in levels, when more characters, depending on what your makeup is, as more characters potentially get attack of opportunities, that's gonna super change the board of that stuff.
I'm gonna be an animist. Okay, so how many smiles do we rate the animist? I'm gonna give it a 4.25 smile. I think it's really on its way. I'm very excited to see what's up. I think it's very different. But what I really would want is that you don't get to choose exactly what your spirits are. It'd be cool if it was at the mercy of like your environment. So you can't always pick like the perfect one. You kind of have to make do with like 3 or so, depending on like where you are. I know that would completely nerf the class, but some sort of like randomness factor or like dependent on the environment factor would be cool for me. And but I get why they wouldn't do it. Really, really hard. And maybe you have me, but I just think that would be neat. But otherwise, I love it.
It's like a possession class instead of an animist. It's like the opposite, where like the spirits aren't your friends. They're like intrusive forces that just take over your body and make you do shit.
Oh yeah, well, I mean that's the channeler.
Yeah.
The 2 subclasses.
I was gonna say, when you were saying that, I
Or
was
the
like,
a-
that would make sense for like the channeler.
or the
But I don't know if
sage,
it
I
would
should
make as
say.
much sense for the sage. That was very much like these spirits come along with me in my journey.
No, I don't know. I wish that was part of it. Maybe I didn't read something, but that's all. That's all I would like is, oh, I don't know which in my environment. Let's see who's here, and then I pick from that. Of just like, oh, I can pick from this whole list.
I would feel like that might be something that could be cool, but I feel like that'd be something that like you'd like want to discuss if a player is gonna play with the Annis, being like, hey, is this something you'd be open to? Like, you're gonna lose some of your control, but it also, you can, gain some kind of storytelling randomness. Like, some players I feel like they'd be like, yeah, dude, I think that's awesome. Or others might be like, that doesn't really fit with like the idea that I had in my head for this character.
Yeah.
So
What does everyone else give it out of 5 smiles?
definitely at least 4, because I like it. I like it more than Exemplar. I still feel like there's probably some things that could be like tweaked a little bit here and there. Like, I actually feel like the class might be almost too strong. Which is why I don't want to be like 5 whole smiles, it's perfect. I'm like, I feel like there's still some room for like adjustment, but I feel like it's also like right there to be able to be like, yes, this is a ready to be published class.
Sam, VB?
I give like 4.5. I think it's really close, and it sounds fun. I'm not having the same kind of knee-jerk issues with it as some of the other classes we've read. I'm not having like a Steam reaction. I'm like, it's fine. Like, it sounds like fun. I'm already thinking of characters to play with it, so yeah, I really like this one. And I don't really like playing magic wielders. We know this about me.
Yeah, that's true.
I was surprised.
That's true.
I was surprised that I liked Animist more than Exemplar.
Me too. Right.
Speaking of characters we're thinking of, you mentioned a Dustwalker Animist. Even though like it seems very cliche, I was like, I don't care. I would love to play a much more like either a ASMR Exemplar, because again that just seems exactly like perfect in line. Or what was the other one? I think it was probably just that, like an ASMR Exemplar. Just seems very like, okay, let's just like dig into this niche.
With the animus, I would want to be like a shrine temple keeper, like in all the anime I grew up with. Like,
You're gonna be Kagome.
Kagome. Yeah, I would totally live my Kagome fantasy, or like I'm just keeping grandfather's shrine, like like
You're gonna be Sailor Mars.
Sailor Mars, and then get like the Fulu like wielder, or what is it, the talisman maker like subclass. Oh,
Oh yeah.
boots the house down. That's what I want. Like I'm raving it. But VB, how many smiles would you give, and what character would you make out of these options?
I would going towards comparing to the Elementalist. Elementalist is like a 4 for me, so this will have to be a little bit lower.
You mean a kineticist?
Getting kineticist. Sorry,
Wow.
I was just thinking of an avatar.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, I'm more excited about the kineticist. To try them out right now. So I'll do like a 3.75.
Mm-hmm.
But remember, the kineticist is fully done. These guys are still being play tested.
Okay, well, once it's done, maybe you'll get that 4. Or it'll get nerfed, and then you're down to 3.
I feel like the nerfing and or changing would depend on what they nerf / change.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, that wraps up our War of Immortals playtest PDF club. It was a short one this week.
It didn't take 2 hours.
It did not take 2 hours. It only took 51 minutes. For like,
And
what,
I mean,
6 pages?
you want to do an hour per class? Woof.
No,
Sorry,
not
10 minutes per page.
Not
That's fine.
again. But we had a lot of opinions on the other one. But be sure to just tune into the channel. We have a lot of live plays coming this week. We have Abomination Vaults on Thursday. We have Strength 1000 on Friday, unless something happens and we gotta swap them. And then next week, hopefully, we can get done reading Phase Anatomy, and then we'll do like a one-shot the following Thursday at some point. At some point, and then just be ready to tune in on new campaigns and other stuff that happen. But until then, stay messy. I don't know what this stay messy. No, I'm stopping the stream. We need hand motion.
Bye.
Bye, chat.
Bye.